Hi, everybody. It's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. So today I am going to give you my take on the May 2025 astrology, and I will go in towards the end of this video from the introduction into your individual sun signs and or ascendants and give you a little understanding of what I see for you individually. I'll also do the June peak after that as well. Actually, I will do the June peak before I do that. All right. So what do we got going on? Well, in May, we start off on the 2nd of May. Venus in Aries will be conjunct Neptune. And if we look at Neptune as a planet in relation to Venus, it's viewed as the higher octave of Venus. So when you have two of these together, it really speaks to probably some new initiatives in relationships. Let me just take a look to see. I don't have the degree down there for that, but let me just take a look at the actual degree for that. Because, yeah, if you are wanting to, say, start a new relationship or move something forward in a relationship, especially one that's very, say, romantic, that 2nd of May would be really nice. So let me just look up to see what degrees it's at. Yeah, so it's right at the beginning of Aries. Yeah, so we're looking at 0, 1 degree of Aries. If you've got something around this, could be absolutely awesome for you. The other thing I was thinking too was there might be a mysterious way you have some money come into your bank account. Again, if you've got these degrees, so we're really looking at, I mean, I might take it as far as 2 degrees, but really it's 0 to 1 degree to get that conjunction happening. The other thing that's happening around this time that goes on to the 12th of May is that Uranus will be sextiling the North Node. And I was thinking in particular for those Taurians, whether you're Taurus ascendant or Taurus sun sign, that have really, been working at trying to change their life and move forward in a new destiny path. That whole first week, well, actually it's more, it's almost two weeks, the 1st to the 12th of May, could be very helpful for you to get you on that destiny path that you want to get on. Now, it is at about 26 degrees of Taurus, so really it's going to be, I take a degree on either side of that, where it may actually affect you directly. Otherwise, a lot of these things go on without our really noticing them, right? Okay, so we look at the 3rd of May, we've got the transiting moon will be opposite Pluto. And so there may be something brought up this day with regards to the collective people, right? The moon can actually represent the people. And so I'm thinking there's going to be probably some push from the people and push back from those in power on that day. The next day, on the 4th, we have Pluto will be stationing to go retrograde. And that is around the 3 degree mark. So we may see the claws of power withdraw their claws a little bit at this time to go into a plotting and planning stage. When we look at the 6th of May, we have Venus sextile Pluto. And so this is lovely too. This again can lend itself to a powerful transformative relationship should you want one, or at least it gives you opportunities for that. It also gives you opportunities to potentially transform your money into something more significant, right? Pluto gives us power. It also deals with, on a more abstract level, those things that are under the ground, like oil, like all our precious metals, that sort of thing. And so you put that in your mind and you attach it to a sextile with Venus. This could be making money on, say, some investments with gold, silver, that sort of thing. Yeah. Now, we have our first lunation, which will be a full moon. That's going to be happening in Scorpio. It's at 22 Scorpio, 12 minutes on the 12th of May. And remember, also on the 12th of May, you will still have Uranus sextiling the North Nodes. It'll be at 9:55 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And that moon is going to be opposite Uranus, a little widely, but it will be opposite. The sun will be conjunct Uranus, so that's pretty significant, right? So these are going to be unexpected things coming up maybe even some, yeah, I mean, we're all talking about Scorpio and Taurus here, right? Now, they tend to be this axis of Scorpio and Taurus, with Scorpio being opposite Taurus, is many times viewed as a money axis, right? So I'm thinking that around that full moon, with the moon conjunct Uranus, there may be some unexpected things come through with regards to our money. That's going to be very important for us to pay attention to. And certainly with the moon opposite, these are unexpected things that rattle us a little bit emotionally. Maybe that's going to be mostly on a collective level. Again, this moon's at 22 Scorpio. When we look at Mercury, deliverer of messages, it is going to be squaring Pluto. So this is going to be unwelcome news from those in power, simply put. We look at Saturn in Pisces. It'll be conjuncting Neptune in Aries, but a little widely. It's out of sign, if you know what I mean. So Saturn will still be in Pisces, and then Neptune, of course, is in Aries. And so this is a transit that's going to be going on and off for some time, becoming exact sort of mid-February next year, 2026. So the influence of that is when Neptune and Saturn together, the big news is a dissolving of our structures, a dissolving of that which we counted on, old ways of doing things, old structures. Yeah. Then we have Jupiter is in a wide square to the north nodes. Hard to get a bad aspect with Jupiter, even though it's a square. So this just may bring in some good luck with regards to our destiny path that we want to get on. So when we look at that full moon in Scorpio on the 12th of May, culminating at that time, we're going to have a star called Zugen Eshmali. And this star refers to the shadow side of justice, but it can also refer to honor and distinction. So it's kind of a combination of these different things that could be coming up. I'm thinking it's more the shadow side of justice. Why? Because it's a full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is very much working behind the scenes, can be very secretive, that type of thing. So I guess that star, to me, can say we may have, justice not being properly meted out at this time. So on the 22nd of May, we have Venus in Aries still, trining now Mars in Leo at 16 degrees. Well, this is awesome too for relationships. So note the 22nd of May, especially if you've got something around that 16 degree marks, and we could say 16 degrees in any, especially the fire signs. So that is Aries where Venus is. That is Mars where Leo is. And then, of course, there's Sagittarius too. But this is between Aries and Leo. This could bring like a really showy love story of some sort in here. Maybe this will be played out with some of our royalty in Hollywood. But this could be part of the royalty too, because when we look at Leo as a sign, it is many times looked at as royalty. And so there may be something very favorable that comes up with regards to love and the royal family. Now, this can also represent money. And so in Aries, with Venus being in Aries, I'm thinking this could be some unique opportunities to really maybe put your own business together, push your ideas forward to the greater public. And maybe this could be some really creative projects. Some folks that have this around 16 degrees, this trine, this could be the start of a very beautiful creative project, right? Because Leo can represent that too. And Aries is all about me. What do I want to do? This is what I'm interested in. We also have the sun sextiling Neptune that way. And we've got the sun at 1 degree of Gemini, and then, of course, Neptune at 1 degree of Aries. So that supports what I just spoke about with the Venus and Mars. It's a highly creative time. And generally speaking, when we look at Neptune, We're talking about things like dance. We're talking about music, writing music, poetry, that type of thing. It's also film as well, and literally photographs. So that's super positive. So the 22nd of May, I would say, really highlight that if you've got something around any of these degrees that I've just spoken about, maybe to pursue some kind of creative project or get people to buy into your creative project, or just to start something highly creative and look for inspirational ideas at that time. On the 24th of May, we have the sun that will be in Gemini, trining Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees. And so this is positive. I would say this is going to be communications, powerful communications, important communications that probably hold some kind of transformational energy around it too. So if you've got anything around that 3 degrees of Gemini or 3 degrees of Aquarius, there could be some good news from those in power. And so this good news could be something, maybe you've applied for a visa or a passport, and something like that could come in. They favor you. Those people in power favor you. But it's going to come through some kind of messages. And when we've got both Gemini and Aquarius involved here, these could be literal, like you receive a letter. But generally speaking, I would say this is more through electronic means, and that would be like an email, text message, that sort of thing. And we also have Mercury supporting that when it's conjunct Uranus, right? Now that's at 27 degrees Taurus. But that day, the 24th of May, could be very powerful, unexpected information and or messages come in that are very supportive, that may help free you. Again, we go back to that whole Uranus being wanting to free you, wanting to liberate you, that type of thing. Now, that same day, we have Saturn ingressing or going into 0 degrees of Aries. And we know that Neptune's already there. So this is where the dance will happen back and forth until mid-February 2026, where Saturn and Neptune will be back and forth close together, talking to each other about what? Dissolving our structures, dissolving anything to do with old ways of doing things. Saturn talks about that. And pursuing new things. Now, we previously had Saturn going into Aries in April 1996, for those that want to go back and take a look what was happening for yourself at that time. On the 26th of May, we have our second lunation. It's going to be in Gemini, and that's a new moon. So happy new year to all my Gemini ascendants and sun signs. It's going to be at 6 Gemini and 6 minutes at 8:01 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Now, this particular new moon will be aspected by a culminating star called Alcyone. And Alcyone, depending how you want to interpret things, if you go back to the more ancient interpretation, it really refers to vision, including losing your vision. And it is a star that's in the Pleiades. But I think if you bring it to maybe a more modern, generalized understanding, I would say that we could be losing sight of something here, that we're not seeing how things are really going. So again, we've got the moon in Gemini, so there may be some announcements of some sort in the general public that we're just not able to see properly. It's not as clear as it could be. At that new moon, we know that the sun and the moon are together, but so is Mercury at this time too. So I think this is going to be important information that's going to come through, probably some kind of revelation of some sort, especially as Saturn now is in Aries too. It's going to be wanting to pursue a new path with regards to our structures, our old institutions. That 26th of May may very well bring into focus, this is how we're going to do these structures that we've seen maybe all our lives, or maybe for many hundreds of years. They're about to change. And especially when you've got that Saturn conjunct Neptune Neptune likes to dissolve things. But because this is a long-lasting aspect, at least almost a year or so, I would say that this will be slow erosion of those old institutions. Now, these institutions can include banks too. So there may be a big, huge change that happens there. But generally speaking, I'm thinking that this is going to be obvious as it starts happening, but slow in its actual progress to dissolve the actual structures. We've got still Venus trining Mars, but it's wide at this point. And this is about 18 to 20 degrees. And so, that's Leo as well as Aries. Yeah, so this is just another opportunity here potentially for, an interesting relationship, a very maybe glamorous relationship, right, with that Leo added in here. But it can also refer to our money as well, as I mentioned. And so this may be some opportunities to make money that, make money off some kind of creative project of some sort. We have Jupiter here, again, squaring that North Node. We spoke about that earlier. This is, I don't think, a negative thing. I think it's just going to be unique opportunities to expand that path that we want to get on for our destiny. We're going to have Mercury trine Pluto. And at this time, we are going to have 4 planets in Aries. So I'm still talking about that new moon at 6 degrees of Aries. So Mercury trine Pluto is positive for sure. The Pluto part refers to transformation, and Mercury refers to messages. It refers to any kind of communications. So these will be important communications that come in that are not necessarily negative. Trines tend to be very positive. When we dial down to the 30th of May, we have that lovely Sun conjunct Mercury at 8 degrees of Gemini. So this is important information. We end that month of May with some very important information coming into us. When we look at that June peak, we've got a full moon at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, a new moon at 4 degrees of Cancer. Mercury will conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. And then the Mercury square Pluto is at the end of June. And we're going to have Mars in Leo out of bounds. So I'll talk more about that later, but I thought I would just give you a heads up on that. So let's move on to looking at your own personal forecast. And you can use your ascendant and or your sun sign. I would listen to both. When you look or listen to your ascendant, what you're effectively doing is finding out where the aspects that I talk about, normally this would be the moons, what area of your life they fall in. So that's what the ascendant will give you when you read that or listen to that or watch that. And then the sun sign, the sun is the most important part of your chart. So you really want to listen to what it says there, and it may get you a little bit more insight and understanding. So Aquarius, that full moon in Scorpio, squares your sign and involves your 10th house. Now, you're also going to have Mars in Leo for the whole month, opposing you, right? That's your opposite sign, and it's the 7th house. So with that dynamic, I thought there may be a lot of activity going on with your partner, whether it's a business partner, a marriage partner, or clients, or all three of them. Lots of activity over there that you're witnessing. At the same time, you have this full moon in Scorpio that's squaring your 10th house of career. And so it could be that activities that are happening with your partner or any other are kind of challenging to you with your career. You may not be able to put as much time into your career because you're being distracted by all this activity with your partner or any other, right? The other thing that this full moon squaring your 10th house could bring up is that, Scorpio is kind of a psychological sign. I'm almost thinking that for some Aquarians, you might have this fear that you're not able to do something in your career and it's unfounded completely, that you need to look at and maybe get feedback with regards to how you're doing your career. Like there's a psychological aspect here with this square. And it's almost like I'm getting this feeling of you overcoming the fear that you can't do this job. Maybe you've been put into a new position. You're thinking, oh my God, this is beyond me. I've actually had this happen to me. And it was so untrue. I didn't realize my strength. I didn't realize all the skills that I have to be so successful. So I understand that feeling. And I think that feeling is here in many ways. I would seek out things like people who can mentor you, or just write down facts of what you are doing, right? But there could be some challenge here. I mean, maybe also, Scorpio represents secrets too. There might be something that comes out at this time with the full moon that you didn't know about, that's been hampering you and challenging you. And this gets resolved at the full moon. When we look at that new moon in Gemini, it trines you and involves your fifth house. There's going to be some Aquarians that fall in love. That's the fifth house. There's going to be some Aquarians that get news that they're pregnant. There's going to be some Aquarians that get news that you have this new writing project. You have this new creative project. You're going to get good news regarding some aspect of your children's life if you have children. Fifth house is one of the best houses I've always viewed. Trines are one of the best aspects you can have. So you've got some very positive communications coming in and messages for you at that new moon. Now, when we look at Saturn and Neptune in Aries, well, that sextiles you and it involves your third house. So we're kind of going back to messages and communications again, because that's the third house, right? And this is a long-lasting one. The Saturn-Neptune together in Aries will be about 3 years. And then Neptune will be left alone for well over 10 years after that on its own in Aries. So it says to me, I think you're going to be dissolving some way of communicating and instituting probably new ways that are more compassionate, that are more inspirational. Like for the first 3 years, it's like dissolving one way of communicating and figuring out other ways to inspire people. You may even be working on this for the company you work for, where they want you to redo maybe some of the basic teaching or learning materials that the company has. This could be any kind of writing project. Yeah. I'm also thinking things like SOPs that are ancient and old and need to be revised. That could be part of what you end up doing here too with this situation. Now for you, you've got Pluto in your sign, as you know. For this year, it'll be around the 3-degree mark. So if you do have something around 3 degrees, you can expect some probably major transformation of some sort. Maybe even given power of some sort too, because Pluto is very much about power. The power to maybe change aspects of your life. Take care, Aquarius. All right, folks. I always love doing your astrology charts. I've got lots of different services. All the details and contact are below. Reach out to me via email on elpasastrology@gmail.com. We'll communicate back and forth. So leave your comments. I love to hear from my viewers and my clients. I answer all my comments that have come in. I value everything that you tell me, so don't be shy. All right, I'm sending everybody lots of love. Hey, we're looking at May here, springtime. All the birds are out, the flowers are popping up. It's such a positive time of the year. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.